The next comment period is due, the comments for the next comment period are due this coming Friday, December 17th, and that's for the waste treatment plant inspection plan, which is all about how they will be in the requirements for inspection once the waste treatment plant is operating. And you hear us talk a lot about Hanford's high-level waste and aging underground storage tanks. The first part of tank waste treatment that we're expecting to see go online is called direct feed low activity waste, where they're going to be removing cesium from the waste, liquid waste, and sending it over to the low activity waste facility. And there was a report released in 2014 that Tom is going to talk about a little bit, that where there are some issues raised, and because we're relying on the inspectors who will be looking to flag a bunch of issues in the waste treatment plant, and how they do that is part of this permit modification. That's one of the issues that we want to draw your attention to in one of our comments. So I'm going to kick it over to Tom to talk about that.
Okay, thank you, Liz. And the waste treatment plant is where the tank waste that comes out of the Hanford tanks is supposed to be treated. And so it's a very important facility. It's handling some of the most dangerous reactive materials on the planet that also happen to have some other properties, such as being mutagenic and cause cancer, etc. So the facility itself is a chemical treatment plant with nuclear components. And the design of this facility began back in actually the 1990s. In 2000, Bechtel was given the job of completing this design, and subsequently a number of internal whistleblowers, engineers, designers, etc., came forward with concerns. And the most serious of these happened in 2010 when an engineer named Walt Tanositis, who was pretty high up in the management chain, who's in charge of research and technology, revealed numerous technical concerns impacting safety at the waste treatment plant in the design. The plant isn't open yet, so this was a chance to get those issues fixed. But Walt's problem was that the Department of Energy was impatient to get this going, and so they just wanted to gloss over these safety issues and pretend they weren't there, and maybe fix them later, if at all. Walt's disclosures resulted in him getting removed from the facility. As a senior engineer, this really shocked a lot of people, and more whistleblowers came forward at that point, including Donna Bushy, who was the manager of nuclear safety, and another guy named Gary Brunson, who was the chief engineer for the waste treatment plant. All of them went public with their concerns. They all essentially suffered retaliation, lost their jobs, etc. However, they did find an audience in Congress and the media, and we helped with their bringing out their concerns. And then in 2014, as Liz mentioned, a new report was prepared but not released. And that new report was about the low activity waste facility at the waste treatment plant. And somebody leaked it to us, an internal engineer. And it was quite alarming because the report, we got it in 2015, right? So this report had been sitting around for a year, and the person who leaked it to us wrote that he was an author on the report, was part of it, was worried that it was never going to get released. So it was making sure that it would get released by sending it to us. This person wrote, "Never in my long professional career have I seen anything that even resembles the deceit and lack of integrity that I have seen here. I have raised issues and solutions, and in my opinion, I've been retaliated against. As an engineer, it is my job to fix things, but under the current environment, that is not possible without risking my livelihood and further retaliation." So we honored his concerns by releasing this report, and it was a draft report at the time, in both the Los Angeles Times and the Washington Post on the same day. And the report revealed 362 very significant design vulnerabilities in the waste treatment plant design. And the response from the Department of Energy was to hurry up and issue the report by removing a lot of the issues from the report, and then saying, okay, it's all done. But the fact is that there were a lot of vulnerabilities and safety issues that were very, very serious, that they call them vulnerabilities expected to result in unacceptable risk to the overall project mission. And they include, what are called programmatic deficiencies, which isn't just, this screw is loose, or, this heat exchanger isn't working right. But programmatic means within the program. So they had inadequate discipline and design execution. They didn't have good tracking of their corrective action program. It was actually broken beyond repair. There was a tendency to push off solutions to down the road. Taken in totality, it really revealed a lot of weaknesses, and they estimated it would cost up to $14 billion to fix these problems. Well, subsequently, we started tracking whether or not they were fixing these problems, and obtained a number of internal letters from the Department of Energy that looked at whether or not these risks had been ameliorated or taken care of. In almost every instance, the Department of Energy allowed the contractor to say, we will fix this at commissioning. In other words, okay, we acknowledge this is a problem here. Yes, it could impact worker health and safety. It could impact the operability of, but we'll see if it actually happens and fix it at commissioning. And that commissioning is when they start it up. So the other thing that they said was, we're willing to accept the risk of this happening. And some of the risks in there were pretty substantial. And they're accepting the risk on behalf of the public and on behalf of the workers, and without any input whatsoever from either the public or the workforce about this. So all of these were behind the scenes, more or less secret documents. So anyway, we are concerned then, here comes this inspection, comment period. And they say, well, we can't inspect all of the facility. Sometimes there's stuff behind in high radiation areas, et cetera. And we're simply reminding the Department of Energy that there are a lot of unresolved issues that we still have yet to see a resolution for that's satisfactory, and that any future inspection regime needs to be aware of these issues, be inspecting for them, and making sure that there is a system to track these issues and make sure they don't threaten public or worker health and safety. So I'll stop there and see if there are questions, and I tend to go on and on. So I'll stop and before that happens, and hope that what I said makes sense. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And before I take questions on this, I'm just going to go over the comment guide that we have for this. for the waste treatment plan inspection plan. Sorry, the waste treatment plant inspection plan. And I'll put that in the chat. So there's a few comments in addition to the comment on the low activity waste facility. And so I'm just going to go over those really quick so that it's not a surprise. So they are as follows. The first was what we were just talking about, making sure that inspectors know what issues have already been flagged when they're doing their inspections. And just the way this inspection plan works, it's for when the plant's up and running, not before it's up and running. And then another request to take the time to deal with issues before startup. 3, explaining one shift we noticed in the permit modification was there was initially an assumption of physical inspections where they were in-person. Physical inspection just means in-person inspecting equipment. And a lot of those have changed to remote inspections. So making sure that there's some communication about how are they overcoming any limitations posed by remote inspections that were originally going to be in person. And the last point was around worker health and safety. So explaining how worker access is enforced so that workers aren't inadvertently going into hazardous areas. That wasn't clear when we read the permit modification. So those are there. And the comment guide also it includes some resources, including our longer comments, which go into a lot of detail about the low activity waste facility issues, just so that they're on the record. And there's also a link to the public meeting DOE held on November 9th on this as well.